This is Sam's OK Trains and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Now in today's video we're actually going to be doing a complete historical review and product review of these brand new Muncie and Western boxcars that came from Berwyn's Toys and Trains. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so before we go ahead and talk about these pieces here, I kind of want to discuss some history, but first I want to kind of discuss about how these pieces relate to me personally. So about last year, a friend of mine, RJ's Trains, sent me these and he said you should pick these up. I had no idea that the Muncie and Western Railway existed, and so I started doing some research and I found out that the Muncie and Western Railway served the ball factory in Muncie, Indiana. And I actually go to school in Muncie, Indiana. I go to Ball State University, which is also named after the Ball brothers, which the Ball brothers had their factory in Muncie, Indiana, and they used these cars to transport these. This is an example of a ball glass jar. I think it's from around anywhere between 1920 to 1930 based on the logo, but we'll talk more about that later in the video. But yeah, these boxcars transported these to anywhere in the United States, I guess. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the history on these pieces, and then we will do the product review, and then I'll give my final thoughts. Alright, before we take a look at one of the cars and kind of go over all of the details on it, I'm going to go ahead and give a quick history over the Muncie and Western Railway and how that came about. The Muncie and Western Railway was a short line that mainly served the Ball brothers and their mason jar factory. Their short line was about only 4 miles long. The Ball brothers relocated to Muncie to take advantage of the natural gas in the area in around 1886. So as soon as the Ball brothers moved, what happened was they realized they needed to ship out their product. So the big four, the Cleveland, Cincinnati, Chicago, and St. Louis Railway, refused to service the ball factory and all of the other industries in the area because they weren't sure how long the natural gas in the area was going to last. So they said, we're not doing it. So the Fort Wayne, Cincinnati, and Louisville Railway Company, which operated from Fort Wayne to Connersville, Indiana. So the Fort Wayne, Cincinnati, and Louisville Railroad, which was later known as the Lake Erie Belt, took a chance and they built a belt line to service all of the industries in the area. In 1890, the Lake Erie and Western Company purchased the above company, gaining control of the belt line that was servicing all of these industries. So when the Lake Erie and Western Company gained control of the belt line, they cut off access to the Big Four Railroad from all of the industries in the Muncie area, and the Lake Erie and Western had a monopoly. Once the monopoly was in effect, a group of people, including the Ball brothers, formed a new short line that linked up with the Big Four Railroad, but by 1900 the New York Central had acquired everything in the area. So by the time the New York Central acquired everything in the area, the Ball brothers realized that they still needed freight service to their factory. So they created the Muncie and Western Railway, which was a short line of around only 4 miles that the Ball brothers had control over so they could ship out their products and not be delayed by monopolies and other railroad companies, etc. They could ship their stuff out, and the other railroads in the area were the New York Central, the Pennsylvania Railroad, the Nickel Plate Road, and the C&O. So the Ball brothers could then ship all their stuff out to those railroads and distribute them and then ship them elsewhere. So they had a little industrial line that just mainly served the factory, but these were the cars that transported the mason ball jars, and Berwyn's Toys and Trains did an excellent job. This is almost detail for detail an exact replica of the real thing. None of these cars exist in real life anymore. The last of these cars existed around 1972. So the Muncie and Western Railway was not around for very long, but it did service the ball factory, and these were the first cars that were used to help ship the mason jars out of the factory. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual product now that Berwyn's Toys and Trains put out Now that we've kind of learned the history of the Muncie and Western Railway and everything, let's go ahead and take a look at the car itself. So starting over here on the left side, we do have some molded in detail just along here. You can see the frame of the boxcar. And then you can see some support beams just right here. Now I do like these support beams that are kind of molded into the mold here for the boxcar. They do add a little bit of depth to the model, which I do like. But over here on the left side, you can see the Muncie and Western Railway name there. And then you can see an abbreviation down here along with the road number just there. All of the markings on the car are good. There's no smudges, there's no smears or anything like that. It's perfect, it looks really good. And then just below here we do have some more details there. Moving towards the middle of the boxcar, you can see a mason jar on the door. This was on the real boxcar as well. Now the newer versions of these boxcars, which Berwyn's Toys and Trains is producing, I think they'll be here by the end of 2022, the beginning of 2023. But as you can see here, these do not have ball on the jar. So that kind of indicates that it's an older variation of the boxcar. The newer variations that Berwyn's Toys and Trains is putting out, it'll actually have the ball logo on the jar on the boxcar door. So this is definitely an older variation of the boxcars, which is pretty cool. And there's another way that you can tell, but I'll go over that here in just a second. And then just up here you can see all of the wooden planks that the brakeman would have walked on. Pretty simple stuff, nothing too crazy going on up there. And then as we move to the right, you can see more support beams just here, and then you can see the phrase "the ball line" painted on the car. So there's a way to kind of tell how the ball jars were dated, and this might help us also indicate what year these boxcars ran. So we can tell by the B and the double L's that this ran probably between 1923 and 1933. So the reason that we can tell that this is probably from the 20s and 30s is because this specific logo was actually on the mason jars that they produced, this type of print here. And we can tell that it's from 1923 because the underscore and the ascender were both removed. So I'll flash a picture up on the screen to show you all the different dates and how you can tell that the ball jars were made when. And we can kind of use this to help date these pieces as well. But just kind of going off of the jar logo and how they date them, these probably ran around 1920, 1930. And then as we continue on, we do have some more detailing just down here. And then we have some separately applied details just up here, some ladders that the brakeman or other railroad crew would have climbed. And then on the side of the car, we have some more details. We got some detailing down here. My favorite part about this car is the brake here, the brake wheel. You can see the rod that would have gone all the way up to the wheel and then all the way underneath the car to help the car stop, obviously. I do like that detailing, that is pretty cool. And then we do have some more separately applied details just right here. Now both of these models look the exact same, but I'm just showing you this one here. But all of this detailing is really nice, really well done here. And then we do have the MWR right up here, which stands for the Muncie and Western Railroad. And then you have the road number just below that. Alright guys, thank you for tuning in towards the end of the video. I kind of want to share my thoughts on these pieces. These are very well done. Berwyn's Toys and Trains did an excellent job. They chose a good MTH kind of shell to recreate these with. I think they did an excellent job. I'm really happy to finally have something that's close to home. Obviously, college is a part of my life. That's where I'm going to, hopefully get a career. And so it's cool to have a piece that ran in my college town, and it's something that's pretty close to home for me. So I greatly appreciate these pieces. I greatly appreciate Berwyn's Toys and Trains for producing these pieces. They've only been produced a couple of times, not very much in O scale. There was one about 10 plus years ago. Atlas did make a run of these ball cars, but they vary a lot compared to these ones that Berwyn's Toys and Trains put out. And kind of comparing them side by side, I actually like these better. They're a little bit more closer to the real thing. If you're interested in picking up these pieces, Berwyn's Toys and Trains no longer sells these. They might have a couple left over from their order, but they will produce new ones coming late 2022, early 2023, somewhere around there. And those will be the second and newer rendition cars that Ball Brothers produced later on. But these are the earlier ones, like I said. But yeah, if you want to pick some up for yourself, go ahead and order the next set that's coming in. And yeah, without further ado, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch my videos. And I will see all of my lovely viewers in my next video. Take care, everybody.